5 weird tricks I used to get my crush's attention. So, I'm about to share the 5 weirdest, most ridiculous things I ever did to get my crush's attention. We're talking everything from a bizarre prank to telling completely unhinged stories just to seem interesting. And the craziest part, it actually worked. This is the story of how my most awkward moments somehow sparked a real connection. Alright, let's set the scene. There's this person, we'll call them Alex, in my college history class. Alex was just one of those effortlessly cool people, you know the type. Smart, funny, and always looked like they just stepped out of a magazine, while I usually looked like I'd just lost a fight with a raccoon. I was completely, hopelessly gone. The problem? In a lecture hall with 200 other students, I was basically invisible. I knew I had to do something to stand out. So, naturally, my brain decided the best way to do that was to be as weird as humanly possible. The logic. Flawless. Section 1. The first trick. My first master plan was something I called the obscure hobby. During a class discussion, I saw my opening. The professor asked about our passions, and my hand shot up. I declared, with way too much confidence, that my life's goal was to become a world champion competitive cheese roller. The entire room went dead silent. Alex, who sat 2 rows ahead of me, slowly turned around and just stared at me with this look of pure, beautiful confusion. My heart was pounding. I didn't get a date, but I did get a look. For the first time, I was on their radar, even if it was just as that weird cheese person. A small, very strange victory. Section 2. The second trick. For my next trick, I decided to lean right into the chaos with a little prank. I bought one of those tiny, squeaking rubber chickens online. The plan was simple. I'd accidentally drop it as I walked past Alex's desk. Easy, right? Well, the execution was not great. As I passed by, I fumbled it. Instead of a cute little squeak, the chicken flew out of my hand, bounced off a desk, and landed perfectly inside Alex's open backpack. Alex didn't notice a thing. I spent the rest of the class in a cold sweat, just waiting for a muffled squeak to expose me. It never came. Alex just packed up and left, completely unaware they were now transporting poultry. I was mortified, but I also had to admit, it was pretty funny. Section 3. The third trick. For trick number 3, I got my inspiration from those articles that say scent is the strongest sense tied to memory. My brilliant idea. I'd create a signature scent so unique, so unforgettable, that Alex would have no choice but to notice me. But instead of vanilla or cologne, I went with fresh baked bread. I bought this cheap bread-scented spray online, which, it turns out, smelled less like a bakery and more like burnt toast and yeast. Before class, I gave myself a few generous spritzes. I walked in smelling like a fire at a Wonder Bread factory. This time, I didn't just get a look from Alex. I got a reaction from the entire row. Someone literally sniffed the air and asked, "Does anyone else smell burnt toast?" Alex just kind of chuckled and shook their head. It was a total failure, but hey, at least it was a funny one. Section 4. The fourth trick. At this point, what did I have to lose? My strategy shifted. I started telling wildly exaggerated stories to my friends, just loud enough for Alex to overhear. One day, I launched into this detailed, completely made-up story about how I spent my summer wrestling bears in the Alaskan wilderness. I gave my trusty bear wrestling sidekick a name, Bartholomew, and even invented our nemesis, a one-eyed grizzly named Patches. My friends knew I was full of it, but Alex, who was studying nearby, kept glancing over, trying to figure out if I was serious. The story was so absurd that it had to be a joke, and for the first time, I saw Alex actually laugh. Like, a real laugh. And hey, if you're enjoying this play-by-play of my romantic downfall, now would be a great time to like this video and subscribe. I promise, it's way less embarrassing than anything I've talked about so far. Section 5. The fifth and final trick. The fifth trick was my masterpiece. The grand finale. It was the end of the semester, and I decided to combine all my previous failures into one last, desperate attempt. I actually found the rubber chicken in the campus law stand found. I bought a small, fancy loaf of sourdough bread. Then, I wrote a note that said, "For your next bear wrestling adventure." From the cheese roller. I put it all in a bag, and with my heart about to beat out of my chest, I walked right up to Alex after our final exam. I just handed them the bag and said, This is for you," before turning around and power walking away without another word. I was 100% sure I'd finally crossed the line from quirky to genuinely alarming. But a few hours later, I got a message. It was from Alex. All it said was, "Did you really wrestle bears?" That one question broke the ice. Alex told me they'd been noticing my weird antics all semester and thought they were hilarious. The sheer ridiculousness of it all was exactly what made me stand out. The pranks, the weird smells, the crazy stories, none of it was smooth. But it was me. And apparently, my weird, authentic self was what it took to finally get their attention. So, I guess sometimes, being yourself really is the best trick of all. What's the weirdest thing you've ever done to get a crush's attention? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story, make sure to like and subscribe for more.